Hi there, everyone, and welcome to a special edition of More to the Story. My name is Jolene DeRosier, a producer and director here at WPBS. More to the Story is a cooperative effort between WPBS TV and the Watertown Daily Times. In this extended episode, we take you on a journey back in time with 4 North Country businesses and organizations as they navigate the turbulence of the COVID-19 pandemic that put the world on pause. Since March, these select 4 have taken the time to sit down each week and record their stories via video diary, sharing their ups and downs and the unpredictability of COVID-19. Would their businesses survive the pandemic? How were they personally affected? Did they have to close their doors, let employees go, seek financial help elsewhere? These are just some of the questions they face daily. Often buried in uncertainty, these organizations had to sometimes make some difficult and unprecedented choices. These choices brought them to where they are today. Join us as we take you on their journey, because in every conversation, there's always more to the story.
Today is April 14th, 2020. Our business has been struggling for 29 days.
Today is May 2nd, 2020, and my business has been affected for 46 days.
Today is May 7th. This is day 47, and we're still consistent. We're still doing poor to bad.
Today is June 20th. Our business has been struggling for 93 days, and things continue to improve.
My name is Nick Kiliansky, and I'm a partner at the PB&J Cafe in Lowville. When the shutdown orders came in March, pretty much what came into my mind was just quickly make everything work. Did some sanitation stuff, brought toys from the playroom out, put them in the back, and we just kind of scrambled to quickly do things as best we could for the day. And we did not know what was coming, and that would probably not be enough. We didn't know that at the time, but.
Today is April 10th, 2020. Our business has been struggling for 25 days, and things today are going well. Our business has been slower than it's ever been in the year and a half that we've been open, with everything going on. So we're figuring out what we're going to do to keep things going.
This is a Friday afternoon, and normally we would have cars in the parking lot. You can see our beautiful dining room. It is also empty due to the mandates set down by New York State to cease dine-in at this time. This has drastically altered our business, which is mainly dine-in.
So this is our back storage room, and we just got a delivery from our food supplier. And usually our order is at least 3 times bigger than this. But things have slowed down a little bit, so cutting back on our orders, not serving quite as much. This is a pretty slim delivery for the week. So we got frill picks, some pickles, apples, tomatoes, pretty random selection, but with food moving slower nowadays, the orders get smaller.
And at first it was kind of difficult because we were just doing the best we could, and things were always changing, and you never knew what was a rule and what wasn't.
So last week we got some tough news. We found out our bagel supplier was going to be closing down temporarily. That's a pretty big hit for us. Bagels are a very important part of our business. We had to make some decisions on what we were going to do going forward, and the questions were: do we stay open? Do we try to pivot and serve our sandwiches on a different type of bread? Do we just serve coffee and soup and salad? But really, bagels are just a staple here. What our customers, one of the things our customers love. So we decided to try to get through by stocking up on as many bagels as we possibly could to get us through until our supplier opens up again. So we bought about 120 dozen bagels and had to store them anywhere we could. Most of the bagels are off-site right now. We'll just bring them in as we need them, but yeah, we stocked up on a ton of bagels, and hopefully it gets us through and our suppliers can open back up, which would be great for them too. So yeah, just got to keep making decisions going forward.
Early on in April, we were considering closing the restaurant temporarily, and that was a tough decision to face because we felt very overwhelmed by the rules and regulations that were coming down, and especially in April, everything felt very disorganized. And whereas right now the rules are kind of set in stone and more clear, back then things felt very up in the air. Nobody knew what was true, what wasn't true. There didn't seem to be any clear legislation, or there wasn't anybody we could call to straighten out any things we weren't sure about. So in order to basically just avoid getting in trouble, we thought, well, it's April, we're going into the summer season, is it a good time for a break? We didn't know how long this COVID, at the time especially, how long the COVID shutdowns or just the entire pandemic was going to last. So we were really just staring into the dark at that point.
Come on. Okay, so then we go outside. Good boy.
My name is Kate Gonzalez. I'm the shelter manager at United Friends of Homeless Animals in Richland, New York. When shutdown orders came in March, the first thing that went through my mind was, what are we going to do and what will it look like for the shelter, as we are a volunteer-based organization. This is the United Friends of Homeless Animals thrift store. Donations come from the community and we resell them to fund the animal shelter. All of our workers here are volunteers, and currently we are losing about $800 weekly income. Business the first month was affected by having to close down to volunteers, which put more work on myself and my coworker who continued to work. It also just changed the way we would do adoptions and people visiting the cats. So for everybody's safety, we would not allow the volunteers in, which meant that the care and socialization of both cats and dogs was more on the shoulders of myself and my coworker, which added more time. We are starting to get calls from people that are being affected by not being able to work at this time, and they are unable to care for their animals. So we have started to take in a few more animals from those situations. I honestly was a little nervous because I was worried that people would go back to work and want to then bring the animals back. Nicole here is one of the cats that came to us because her family felt it was too overwhelming with not being able to work and care for herself and 2 kittens. We have settled into a new routine. We currently cannot have volunteers come in to help with the daily clean, but we do allow them to do some dog walking and to do a 20-minute cat visit in the big rooms that our cats live in. And that is because the socialization is down for the cats, and it's really important for them to keep seeing different people in and out to help the ones that maybe aren't as confident, and just to, kind of keep things changing a little bit. We're hoping to open to volunteers soon. As soon as we can, we'll open the doors again and they can come in. We certainly miss them.
My name's Todd Laisdell. I'm co-operator of Laisdell Dairy Systems in Adams, New York. So when the shutdown orders came in March, so many things went through our mind. It was crazy. We just didn't know what definitions of work, who was allowed to work, who was considered, required workers, essential workers. Laisdell Dairy Systems had to sit back and kind of get our guidelines, but that's tough in our business because our business is 365 days, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
Good morning. Today's April 10th, 2020. Laisdell Dairy Systems has been struggling with the whole situation in New York State for about 25 days right now. It was an extremely depressing day just because the atmosphere out there between social distancing and trying to ensure sanitary work areas is quite a difficult feat, especially on farms. We're just not accustomed to the procedures.
So probably one of the biggest lessons during this pandemic that we've learned at Laisdell Dairy Systems is, one, never take anything for granted. If we thought we were going to have a banner year with good milk pricing, slow your roll, because it's not happening. A couple things is we took a lot for granted, just the normal interaction with people and customers. Now, standing back 6 foot, going into the store to get something, things like this, naturally having to have a mask everywhere you go. This was just, there were so many twists and turns to a business like ours, which is a very small, but every day brought challenges that you would forget, oh my, I gotta wear my mask, or oh, I gotta keep my distance. But when we're working, a lot of times, especially with my brother and I, we're next to each other on top and the farmers are right with us. It's because of the business that we do and the people we deal with, it was hard for us to kind of compensate on certain things. And so I won't say that we adhered to every social distancing every day for sure. So our coping methods and overcoming sometimes was just going straight through. We just sent our statements out on April 15th. And even though we do have supplies and equipment still going out, some of our customers are just unsure on how they're going to be able to pay their bill. This is getting a little frustrating. These things can't stop because these businesses can't stop, especially farms, because they're a 365, 24/7 operation. So with this in mind, we at Laisdell Dairy Systems, my brother and myself, are driving on. It's starting to impact us a little bit harder, our families and so forth. My brother's family especially, because the Samaritan Medical Center laid off like 10% of their staff, and it just so happens that my brother's daughter is a nurse manager and his wife is a receptionist in the operating department, and they both got the notice that they're laid off today. I guess it's fortunate that we are deemed essential, but we are really starting to see the effects 32 days in. So with milk prices, it normally has a cycle through the year, okay? It'll peak and then it'll go into a valley. Well, because of schools closing, because of restaurants closing, we went ahead and our valley came early, to whereas we would see that milk price normally climb towards the summer and fall, we saw it diving, and this is where the government was trying to step in. But as we know, government reaction time is sometimes very slow, and farmers are day to day. They need that response fast, immediate. And I will say this, that the basically cooperative government and support systems did come through. They did. And unfortunately, there were a couple farms that didn't make it But for the most part, they did come through and supplement those farms with some government programs, and it probably saved a huge number, more than people will ever probably realize. So with milk pricing being a volatile market in a good year, we just didn't need it this year. We were coming out of a tough year and looking to have a great year with milk price. And it was like this karma correction that came through. It was so tough to see some of the faces.
One of our customers, it's currently Wednesday, April 29th, and there's no power because NIMO is out, and they have a full tank of milk. And in turn, this milk is probably going to go ahead and go down the drain. So there's one of the crying shames.
So in April, we started seeing farms dump milk. Now, there's many reasons that a farm might dump milk, depending on whether it's bacteria or they have issues. But when their processor tells them to dump milk, we know we have bigger problems.
We have a bunch of customers that are still dumping milk, and we have those that are still shipping milk, but getting paid next to nothing for their milk. So we see it as more of a domino effect with us, because we might not see the effect right now, but next month it's going to be even worse.
My name is Christopher Duran. I'm the co-owner of Three Bears Bakery in Potsdam, New York. I recognize that Three Bears might be in trouble long before anything came out. I mean, I was watching the virus back in December when I saw it happening. And I'm an incredibly anal person when I look at numbers and situations. I'm always planning the future. I'm always looking 2, 3, 4 years down the road. I saw that there was a problem, and the problem was growing across the world. So I don't believe in watching just one news broadcast. I watch everything, even from Canada or any place I can get news from, and I put it all together and try to come up with a logical decision of what to do. In December, I saw it growing and getting worse. And I started looking at history, and I saw the issue that we went through in 1918. When things unraveled in March, yeah, a lot scared me real quick, because I did lose a pre-order of $18,000, and my concern was, how bad was it going to get?
It drives me crazy that a lot of the news I've been watching, especially last night, it just all seems political. It just doesn't seem like our government cares. All they're doing is what seems to fit their needs and whatever they can do to toot their own whistle. Another thing that bothers me is that all this money that's being given away to these big companies, if you're making more than $1 million a year, I'm sorry, you don't need a bailout.
My business for the first month was affected extremely poorly because of the amount of money we lost all at once. I mean, March 17th, colleges shut down. I lost $18,000 instantly. I had employees that didn't want to come to work. I had customers that didn't even want to come to the store because they were afraid to even leave their house. So as far as that first month, it was devastating. My biggest issue is I was worried how I was going to provide people in the area with the product they needed. So I was able to stay open because we're considered a medical necessity. People that have to eat gluten-free, they have to eat that way or they get sick. It can hurt people permanently, and it can kill people in extreme cases. So my biggest concern was, how do we keep it open and keep it open safely, not only for my customers, but my staff too. The bottom dropped out today. I know that the pandemic's been growing all over the place since December of last year, and it's getting worse and worse here in the United States. People are dying every day. What happened today? We got a call from all our wholesalers. 4 colleges, our regular wholesalers down in Messina, the hospital, all the orders were canceled. One of our colleges called up and canceled orders for this month and for next month for catering jobs. And all the college students are getting sent home. So what does that equate to? That equates to an $18,000 loss this month. So we'll see.
Last time I talked to you was the 16th of March, and I think it's gone from bad to worse. Saying all hell broke loose would be putting it mildly. We've gone from 12 employees down to 4. A couple of them have put themselves in isolation because they're nervous because they were college students.
We had some difficult days where couldn't get anybody to work. One of the hardest problems was when the government was giving $600 on top of unemployment. I mean, employees just wanted to leave and collect because they would make more in unemployment than working. And I mean, how do you blame? I understand the government did what they thought was right, but all it did is hurt businesses. We lost a lot of them. And I mean, when the colleges vacated, we lost almost 50% of our staff. The other thing is that we have problems getting product. Product has tripled in cost. For example, the beginning of March, my gloves, and we have to use gloves. Every business has to use gloves when serving food. They were $33 a case. They're $98 a case now. That's insane. My product has tripled in cost. Same thing with cheese and milk and everything that we use.
1 year ago today, we won this award for Small Business Excellence Award. And we were super proud of it. I mean, it was a great achievement. We did a great job. And here we are today, wondering whether we're going to keep our doors open or not. We struggle every day. We struggle to get people not to park up front and take up parking spots for our customers to come in. People are out. They're just not coming in and buying anything for some reason. I mean, the weather's beautiful. Today is supposed to be in the 90s, and there's tons of people on the street. Maybe they're not coming in because most of them don't have masks. They're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and I'm afraid that this thing is just going to come right back around, even though it's starting to get better, but I'm afraid it's going to come back around and bite us again. This is by far the worst. I call it the year of the Twilight Zone. Government should come to our aid. They should be here helping us, and I don't feel like they've stepped up. I feel like they're just doing too much arguing. There's so much political unrest. There's so much picketing and problems going out there right now that I just feel they're dragging their feet, and sometimes I feel like they just don't necessarily care. You know, these big companies are doing great online service. What is wrong with people? You're at home, support your small business. Do you not care about your community, about the people? Do you think these big companies care about you? Place an order, we'll deliver. There's a lot of places here that are going to die without your support. What is going on in this area?
For the businesses we're profiling, each and every day of the pandemic brought uncertainty. For Nick Kiliansky and Dawn Rogie of the PB&J Cafe, the question was whether or not to keep their doors open. With business slowing down, supplies coming in at a minimum, and an empty dining room, moving into the black with their numbers didn't look promising. And what about Kate Gonzalez at United Friends of Homeless Animals? If families were starting to surrender their pets, would that continue? Volunteers had to stay away, and the thrift store in town that brought in the majority of funds for the shelter had to close its doors, which meant the non-for-profit shelter was losing cash fast. As for Lysdale Dairy Systems, they were caught between a rock and a hard place. Farms needed them to repair equipment, so the farms could then, in turn, continue to deliver product to local communities. But even then, thousands of gallons of milk were being dumped, and the domino effect for Lysdale began. Lastly, Three Bears gluten-free bakery in Potsdam was about to have their own house blown down. The good news was they were deemed a medical necessity because they provide food for folks with celiac disease and other health issues. The bad news was they were losing big accounts, employees, and regular business. For each of these businesses, with several weeks of uncertainty under their belts, there was only one thing left to do: forge on.
Today is April 17th, 2020. Our business has been struggling for 32 days, and things today are going pretty well. This week has been a lot better than last week. We've been a little busier, so that's really good. We find that encouraging. We made the decision to stay open, and that kind of goes day by day, week by week. So we're glad to still be here, and we'll keep pushing forward. This is what opening the PB&J Cafe looks like every morning. Basically, we turn on our machines, turn on lights, get everything warmed up, and open the doors. Normally we have fresh stock to put out, coffee to brew up, maybe we have some hot items to make for the day, get some desserts on the counter. But lately it's been so slow that opening only takes us about 20 minutes. It might make an easier job, but we certainly wish that we'd get busy and things would ramp up again.
In order to cope with the closure of the dine-in part of our business, we basically just opened up a window behind our service counter and used it as a drive-through, and that took off pretty well.
We had this conveniently placed window in our back kitchen that people could pull up to, so we threw it out on our social media, said we had a drive-through, and it's really actually been able to allowed us to stay open and keep the money coming in. For sure the window is what kept us open, so we're really grateful.
Thank you. I'll be right back.
Customers really liked that a lot because everybody likes a drive-through. So, and we just kind of started doing more takeout, and we also let our customers know that we would offer free delivery for like the COVID time. And a lot of businesses, a lot of offices in town utilized that, so that kind of brought in some bigger orders. And yeah, we just kind of relied on a free delivery service and our drive-up window that was new, and our customers adapted pretty well. So that was the biggest way that we coped with it, is just trying to figure out how to do more takeout and drive-through and delivery.
Today is May 8th, 2020. Our business has been struggling for 54 days, and things today are going well. We had a couple big orders that went out today, so we were pretty busy, and it seems like things are looking up.
When businesses were calling for bigger orders, that was a part of the generosity that we felt. A lot of businesses were paying for other businesses to have their offices have lunch. Other businesses were just calling in for their employees to have a big lunch brought in, and basically just came in earlier and made sure everything was ready to go. And we're a family business, so it was myself and Don, the owner, and 2 people here working, and we just made it happen. So kind of it's just what you got to do. When the business comes in, we were really grateful for it, and you do what you got to do. And I mean, there were times when we were sending out 20 full lunches for an office, or we did a lunch for all the police departments in our area, and that was a busy week because they were all on different days, and you just got to make it happen. Just move a little faster and get them out and do what you got to do.
But we got a bit of good news from Watertown today. Governor Cuomo, I guess, announced that we qualified, the North Country qualified for phase 1 reopening or something along those lines. So that's good news. I think in Lewis County we feel like it's a long time coming. Things here always felt like pretty low key. I guess we had lower case numbers the whole time, and I think people were ready for a solution.
Community support has been phenomenal for the entire duration of specifically the closure of the dine-in, and even into the reopening of dine-in. Customers were very, very generous. We saw a lot of high tipping. We're not really a business that asks for tips. We don't really solicit tips or anything like that, but customers would come in and they would just give you cash and say keep it, and it was like well over their order amount, and that happened a lot, and people just were really generous with their money and we could tell that they wanted to see us make it through this crazy time. And so the customer support was just really out of this world, and we felt very loved. Well, we consistently looked for positives in a lot of the negatives situations, because life is a lot better when you do that, and the work environment is a lot nicer. So we meet and interact with customers on a day-to-day basis, and you have to have a good attitude, because the last thing you want is for someone to come into your store and feel like they're not welcome, or that, oh, it feels different at the PB&J Cafe. Usually it's fun and family oriented, and like that's our entire business. So sometimes things were hard. Sometimes the news that we got from the state was difficult to take, and sometimes it was overwhelming trying to meet all the requirements. And sometimes, not everyone's happy, but in order to make the business work, we had to kind of just say, you know what, like, just have a good attitude, comply to a certain point and just make it work so that your customers feel comfortable, because that's the number one important thing for us, is that everyone here feels comfortable. And just, life and work is a lot easier when you take it that way. I think we're adapting. I think people are adapting. We're all getting used to this new thing that we're all having to deal with. And we certainly hope that some of it goes away by at least the new year, maybe sooner. But I just think that a lot of things will just go back to normal, or we'll start to feel like things are normal and business will go on as usual. But right now our heads are down and we're just trying to keep up with what's happening now. And as long as we're busy and as long as we're meeting people's needs and people are coming in the door and everyone's happy, then we're happy.
Today is May 9th, 2020, and my business has been affected for 53 days. Things are well. Our adoption rate is very high due to people being home and spending a lot of time with their families, and they want to bring in a new animal, and it's perfect time to train and acclimate the animal before they head back to work. So we are happy to see that. I honestly was a little nervous because I was worried that people would go back to work and want to then bring the animals back, but thankfully that has not happened. We had an increase in adoptions. We adapted and we did applications with appointments, so we would allow people to come in, but it still is by appointment only. And this way we know how many people are in the building, because we have also allowed our volunteers back in. And we know that they're coming a set day a week, so we can then allot for people to come in. I live on the property, so I also do appointments both evening, afternoons, and weekends. And we've had steady adoptions since. To cope with the closure of business and the loss of volunteers, we turned to online fundraising with Facebook. And we were able to do 2 or 3 fundraisers that way. With the volunteers, we let them know that as soon as they could come back, they would. And in the meantime, I myself did the work, my coworker Ann, and I actually brought in my family who lives here on the property and lives with me. So I had them come in and do the work with me. Today, I wanted to show you the leashes that Jenda at Dawson's Doghouse was making. We did a quick fundraiser online and raised plenty of money. We used Facebook because we have a large social media following, and we specifically geared it for a special needs fund, which we have some animals that need more surgery or tests than others. And this way, when I go to the vet, I can say, yes, we can do that. Otherwise, we have to raise the money. So we try to keep a little bit aside so that that's an option. Our volunteers come in and they can use these leashes, and the great thing about them is that they can disinfect them when they're done. So we really appreciate the community support on these. We had a lot of dog walkers coming out, and it's great for the dogs in the shelter. Our primary storefront is our thrift store in town. It is now called the UFHA Thrift Store. It was once called Trash and Treasure. We have volunteers there. They were affected because we shut the store completely down, and we couldn't have anyone in. They, though, now have opened, and we've done better than ever with people coming in and supporting the cause. We're taking this time to do improvements. We've had this counter about a year. We were able to finally put it in. And we still have volunteers coming in, practicing social distancing, for sorting and organizing and doing a thorough clean. What I'm showing you here is how generous everyone has been, donating supplies, making sure that our animals have food and that we have cleaning supplies available. They have also dropped off a lot of blankets, towels, sheets, bath mats, and things of that nature that we use for the animals. The biggest lesson I've learned is that it will be okay if things change, but I've always been flexible, but I had to even be more flexible. So I've just learned to go with the flow and it'll all work out, which it has. Today is August 13th, 2020. My business has been affected for 184 days. And things today are good. There's a lot of new cats in here because we have still been taking in as well. You can see some of them behind me. This is Hadley in particular. Hello. And we've just truly been blessed during this whole time. We've had the support of the community and we can't thank them enough.
Today is May 23rd, 2020. Our business has been struggling for 65 days and things are better. It's amazing on how good weather can affect so many things. I continue to be thankful for living where I live and doing what I do. This is what I have to remind myself every week. Our business supports some of the hardest working people in this great nation, the farmer. We still have many customers struggling with the effects of the past 2 months, regardless of things becoming more stable in the dairy market. But we must return to how things were sooner than later, or there'll be no recovery for many people in our business community.
So come June, when this seemed to take on this new normalcy in life, I just didn't know how to grab a hold and just move on with it. I really felt, I wasn't in a depressed state, but what I was discouraged. I was really discouraged that we had to adapt to this new way of life. It just seemed kind of surreal, like, you know, I mean, George Orwell's 1984. It felt like we were flashing back into some weird sense of society. And that's hard to say from somebody from Jefferson County. I mean, we have some of the easiest going, laid back people, you know, that you could ever imagine, even being from New York, you know. But what really threw me is that how we are adapting to these new norms and how people were reacting. And so I just saw people going to each end of the spectrum. Nobody was coming together in the middle. And that was really, really bothering me. And I really tried to keep away from, you know, politicizing or taking some sort of, you know, left or right stance when it came to this whole scenario, where I thought we all needed to take the middle and you know, push through and push on. So I didn't take well to the new norms in the society, and so I guess I just hunkered in, did my work, you know, and just protected my family.
The complexity of operating a dairy farm boggles my mind, because these individuals have chosen a life that not only requires them to be present 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, but also with little return. Each farm is unique, from the people who operate it to the cows that produce the milk. So the next time we have an ice cream cone, pour a glass of milk to have with some cookies, eat a pizza, or have some cheese and crackers, take a moment and thank your local dairy farmer for continuing to provide this country with a product and an ingredient list of just one item: milk.
This pandemic has really kind of established, some sort of a new preparatory way we approach our future. One of the things that we're taking away from this is, obviously, I don't travel without hand sanitizer, I don't travel without wipes, disinfecting wipes, and I don't travel without a mask. So if you would ask me that, am I happy or easily adapting to this, I would tell you no. But I know one thing, that if we can go ahead and push through and get through this, I know that, the next obstacle that comes in, I think we should flatten it. I think that flat line should come faster, more furious, and we should drive through and drive on. So Laysdale Dairy Systems in the near future is, my brother is 67 and I'm 53, so we're not spring chickens. And our work is, physically and mentally demanding with the new evolutionary steps in the dairy system. So we are actually slowly, within the next 2 years, going to back out, and my brother's going to retire. And but we just want to continue to drive on right now, especially over the next course of next 6 months, to get back to that kind of normal status with our customers and such. But we will, as we have for the last 40 years, continue to support the agricultural community in Jefferson County.
This is Todd Laysdale with Laysdale Dairy Systems saying goodbye.
Kylie's over there working on cupcakes. Let's go check Kylie out here. Kylie, what cupcakes you making?
I am making Death by Chocolate.
Death by Chocolate. Chocolate cupcake, chocolate mousse in the middle, chocolate frosting, white chocolate on top. You gotta go, that's the way to go. Today is April 30th, my anniversary. So I'm gonna be in an upbeat mood today and try to be happy about everything. Today is 40 days since we started the struggle with all the problems and everything going on out there. How are we doing? We're doing okay right now. We've got a lot of help. Michelle Collins from SUNY Canton Small Business Development Center. Great support. I mean, she's given us a ton of information, a ton of things to look at. I think one of the things that I'm most impressed with her is that the moral support. Because sometimes there's just such anxiety with what's going on out there. To be able to call somebody up and complain and just say, hey, what do I do? What do you think about this? We're trying this. What do you think? It's nice to have someone to talk to. How is my business doing now? My business now is doing okay. We've had a lot of things that have helped. For example, the PPP helped. The PPP is the Payroll Protection Program loan. It was designed to be a loan/grant. If you met the requirements, they would forgive the amount. I wasn't crazy about the way it was put together, and I'm still not 100% sure whether it's going to be forgiven or not. Because they've changed the rules so many times, it was difficult to keep up with it. I did take the EIDL, which was a loan to help businesses survive in this type of situation, which none of us really need another loan. We need help from the government, we need grants. And I guess my philosophy of that, or my feelings about that, are that I've been paying taxes for years in businesses that I've run. And I was under the impression that when a situation like this happened, I mean, not every situation, because not all of them are this bad. This is by far the worst. I call it the year of the Twilight Zone. Today is July 14th, 2020. It's
been 114 days since this twilight zone started. Things are still going bad. Businesses are closing around me. I hear of businesses that will never reopen again. Apparently masks are a big problem with anybody to wear, even though they save lives. The governor has put in rules now that businesses can be held accountable if they're inspected and they're not doing social distancing and customers not wearing masks. You can get fined $10,000 and lose your licensing, liquor license, and your license to operate. The anxiety level alone is through the ceiling.
I have a concern that the virus will come back. History has taught us that. If we look at the pandemic of 1918, it came back 3 times. And because we didn't pay attention to it, we got hurt. A lot of people died. And I'm sorry, one person dies, that's too many for me. I think that come November, when the flu season starts, it's going to come up again. And a lot of people just don't take it seriously. If you pay attention to what's going on in the media, they think it's a big hoax, they think it's no worse than the flu. Schools are going back, kids are going back. We have to protect our children. They're our future. We can't let them go back to this kind of a situation. I see it starting up again in November. Hopefully we'll have some type of vaccine, but how many people are going to take it? Then after that starts to wind down, I really think it's going to start up again in the spring, because people are not doing what they're supposed to do. And I see all the videos on TV and everything of kids partying at school, and I drive around town here and I can see them on their front lawns playing beer pong and having parties and everything. I understand what they're feeling. I mean, I was 20. I thought I was invincible at that age. We're not. Okay, I argued when we came out with a seatbelt law. I'm like, why do I want to wear a seatbelt? But it saves lives. Okay, why do I wear a mask? I wear it because it saves somebody's life. If I can save somebody's life by wearing this mask, I'm going to wear it. With all the things going on in the world, we have the ability to solve this problem. What we need to understand is that we don't have to agree. I mean, I've been married for 40 years. I don't always agree with my wife. Okay, sometimes I have to stomp my feet and go in the other room. But we're still married, we're still friends. We're all human beings. We have to learn how to get along and take care of each other. I don't understand why that's so difficult. Too many issues out there that we could fix if we really wanted to. It's okay to disagree, but at the end, we still have to be one family.
I think we haven't hit the second cycle of this yet. Rumor is that it is going to come back. They're debating the colleges and the local schools, and if they do, it'll start it all up again. It's just going to get worse again. I don't know what the direction is. The anxiety level, again, like, it's just through the ceiling. You don't know from one day to the next. I know sales are massively down over last year. Cost of goods have gone up. Some of our product has doubled in price, but how can you raise the price? People don't have any money because they don't have jobs. I just don't know. We're all in the same boat, but I just wish the boat wasn't sinking.
Today is October 6th, 2020.
Today is October 7th, 2020.
Today is October 8th, 2020.
Today is October 9th, 2020, and things are okay.
When we chose these 4 businesses to profile, we had no idea, nor did they, what the outcome for each of them would be. Fortunately, none of them had to close their doors. The community stepped in and continues to do so. Government aid also helped to a degree. Having said this, there's no telling what tomorrow will bring for anybody or any business. If the virus follows the same trajectory as the Spanish flu of 1918, then this pandemic is far from over. But we remain hopeful, as do our business owners. For now, I'm Jolene DeRosier, and we'll see you next time with a fresh episode of More to the Story.